Is making work work. Please give it up for Jaime-Alexis Fowler, founder of Empower Work.
Everybody needs a little Beyonce at 4 o'clock, I think. Many years ago, standing in a crowded hallway at work, I didn't feel like I was running the world. In fact, I felt like I'd been punched. My mentor, the person who I felt was responsible in many ways for the future of my career, had just berated me in this crowded hallway. I could feel my heart pounding and simultaneously heard the quiet oof of a colleague a few feet away. No one said a thing. My experience so many years ago is not unusual. In fact, I would guess that most, if not all, the people in this room have had some sort of gut punch moment at work. It might be a surprise termination, a series of microaggressions, a bullying colleague or a boss. It adds up. One research report shows that on average, employees spend 2.8 hours each week dealing with conflict. And the cost to companies for that is astronomical. $7.1 billion a week, just on conflict. But what's too often not calculated is the emotional and economic toll this costs to American workers. We know that stress and challenges, livelihood-threatening situations are costing Americans every day. And unfortunately, as pervasive as this is, the resources to navigate these are not. 80% of Americans don't have a trusted place to turn to when they face an adverse work situation. If we want to truly fix the future of work, we have to think not just about gateways, which are incredibly important, where people are working, how are we hiring, how are we structuring teams, but the pathway of support as well. How do we support people once they're in a great job? What does that future look like? It's no surprise that those who are often first in their family to join an industry, go to college, who have less social capital, women, people of color, not only disproportionately face these challenges when they make it to that great job, but they're also more likely to then leave that job with no next job lined up, leave an industry altogether. It adds up. We took a human-centered approach to this problem. How could we change these critical pathway-altering moments for better outcomes? And that's why we built Empower Work. We provide immediate confidential support at the moment people need it, in the bathroom, on the bus. Anyone can connect with a trained peer counselor and feel heard, supported, and if needed, connected to resources. Part of our research, we found most people were unsure where their issue fell, not serious enough to report, unsure if it had a legal component, not really mental health, why would I go use an EAP, or my company doesn't have an EAP, why would I trust it if it did, and deeply personal. When you're thinking about whether or not you're going to stay in your job or not, you're not going to go talk to your manager about that. You're not going to say to HR, hey, this is really toxic. I'd love to talk to you about how I can leave my job. You don't do it, right? So we wanted to build something that meets people where they are. Last year, someone who reached out to us shared that she was first in her family to join tech. She identified as a woman of color who'd been passed over for a promotion twice. She was exhausted, overwhelmed for having to advocate for herself over and over again, had even taken the step of going and talking to an attorney, and the attorney told her she didn't have a case. She felt stuck and overwhelmed. By the end of a 2-hour conversation with one of our counselors, discreetly, she was at her office, she said she was nearly in tears at the first time she truly felt heard in her workplace. She contacted us a few weeks later and said she'd not only gotten the salary increase that she wanted based on the game plan she came up with the trained peer counselor, but she was also thinking about developing her own business that would be more inclusive and a better workplace for herself. We've seen this across thousands of techsters in 45 states, in rural and urban areas, who say that they feel that this is an amazing service. Sometimes our team is in tears at people's responses. 91% of texters say they not only feel better after a conversation, But similar to the story I shared, they've taken an action and gotten what they needed. They've negotiated a severance agreement. They've come up with a game plan to talk to their manager. And our volunteers see tremendous value and benefit as well. Of our volunteers, 95% say that they bring back skills that they learn in our training and in supporting people back into their workplaces. And it adds up, has a ripple effect in the places where they're working as well. The additional benefit to using technology is not that we just meet people where they are, which is important, on their phone. We also saw a systems gap. There's not a lot of information and data to inform larger systemic change. Because of the way that we're structured, we can take real-time work data and feed it back into the communities we partner with, into industries, and to government change, to be able to indicate what are the issues that people are talking about. People don't say, I'm experiencing wage theft. They say, my paycheck doesn't seem right. So when you think about how people are experiencing issues, we want to then inform the larger space. We know that changing workplaces is not going to happen overnight. To build equitable, inclusive, civil places, we need change at all levels. But we also know that people are going to get knocked off their path. They're going to have a gut punch moment. And we want to be there as a resource and a support. We believe that everyone should have an accessible advocate at their fingertips when they need it most. If you believe, like we do, that workplaces should truly work for all Americans, that there should be not just support to get someone to a great job, but to have support to be successful, to thrive, I hope you'll find me or one of our team after the break. Thanks so much.